Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Matt from MTG Gaming Bob.
And I'm MTG Gaming Bob from MTG Gaming Bob.
Yeah. And this is going to be a little bit of a different video. It's basically just going to be two guys hanging out, talking about whatever we want. There's going to be some Magic the Gathering. There's going to be some video game talk, maybe some movie talk. And that's just kind of how we're going to do it, like a little Christmas video.
I would like to kind of loop this back to some of the Magic coming up in the next year, and kind of like some of the state of Magic, and getting back to the FOMO and where things are and where things are going, and potential suggestions on what to buy or how to buy. So clearly, Magic's in sort of a rut at the moment. I mean, prices are dipping. There's not a lot of even with spoilers out there. There's not nearly the excitement and buzz. There's product confusion. I haven't seen them begin to scale back their products. I think that's something that we're going to have to see them do. I think it was a bravo move that they did put in the serialized cards. I think they need to manufacture somehow some confidence in buying newer cards that there still can be value. So like looking at Flesh and Blood, with the cold foils that. And let me explain that in terms of like Magic and how that equates to things like reserve list and some of the fears that people have out there. That the cold foils they print just in the first edition boxes. For those of you that aren't aware of that, then they can reprint the same exact card literally while they're still selling the first edition boxes, and the unlimited editions come out like pretty much on the heels of it, and they'll reprint the same card. So we'll just call it whatever their version of the Black Lotus is, and they can print as many versions of that Black Lotus as they want that are not cold foil. The cold foils are printed in one print run. That's all that will ever be created of that version, the cold foil. But you still have access to the card for playing in an unlimited fashion. They'll reprint it, and they may reprint it in future sets if it's required for them, for gameplay. But they won't ever reprint that cold foil version. So they're creating that market scarcity right up front. They're creating the value. They don't have to have a reserve list that you don't ever reprint the card, functionally speaking, but you're not going to reprint that version of it, that art version of it. You're only going to have that one type. And they need to come up with something like that with the newer products, because all you ever hear people say, oh, well, they can reprint it all they want. So what? Other games reprint cards all the time. They just reserve that art style or that special thing that makes it that limited edition of it. And that's what becomes the value in that it's this rare collectible part of it, and then you have the playable part that they just reprint the daylights out of. And since Magic's clearly going to reprint things, they can come up with other ways, whether they say it's the reserved art list, whatever you want to call it, that we promise never to reprint this thing in this same identical art function format, whatever. Creating that scarcity, whether it comes from serialized, which is sort of like the caveman approach to that, if you ask me. It's sort of a non-nuanced way to create that scarcity. So they clearly need to do something, because it doesn't really matter if you reprint the daylights out of a card. Imagine if they reprinted, I don't know, a Mickey Mantle rookie card. It's not going to make the actual, 70, 80-year-old Mickey Mantle rookie card worth less because they reprinted 2 million new copies of it. Those cards are still going to be worth whatever they should be worth because they're old and rare, right? And I know we're comparing, card games versus collectible cards, but it's the same concept. That those cards will find their natural price. The alpha cards, the beta cards, the older cards, you can't go back in time and reprint more of them. You can make newer copies of them, but if they agree that they're not going to reprint that art, then it won't be a problem with like, oh, well, how do I know if it's a new or old card? Just change the art on it. They can come up with other ways to create that collectability and scarcity without excluding people from playability. So I would expect to see them kind of broach more and more on that as we move forward.
I kind of feel like they did a little bit, and I think they did it in a poor way with Time Spiral Remastered, like going like old, and even Modern Horizons, like going retro. I think that kind of poops in people's Cheerios. Best way
I
to
actually
describe
like the retro cards.
Well, yeah, they look good, but to somebody that has the original of that, it kind of makes it a little, maybe not really as far as value is concerned, but it makes it a little less special. It's kind of like going
the original non-retro version of it.
Right.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I get where
Just
you're
like a
going with
cold
that.
foil. If they're just like cold foil, I have the cold foil shield, the rampart of the Ram's Head, rampart of Ram's Head, I believe. Yeah, it's one of the biggest cold foil, the most expensive cold foils that I own of Flesh and Blood, and I actually pulled it. It was cool, like a $300 card, maybe more at this point. It'll go up because it'll never be reprinted. But if they reprinted that as like a which they can, I'm looking at their policy right now. They can reprint it as a cold foil prize card, and they can reprint those as much as they want. But I feel like that's kind of Borderland. Okay, so what if the next set, what if the double bubble triple masters comes out this next year and they reprint the fetch lands again because they love doing that, and they're, instead of retro, they're white bordered, time shifted, whatever. Basically what I'm saying is they like want to use like the old techniques of printing, maybe even, and make the card look weathered and look old or something to that extent, where they're kind of they're kind of crossing the line a little bit. I'm curious to see if the market would like that or not.
Well, I guess if I'm understanding what your point is correctly, that what if they print a cooler looking version than the old version? And I'll give you a perfect example of that: Soul Ring, the Masterpiece Soul Ring, right? I believe the most expensive Soul Ring is the Masterpiece one. It's going to be competitive with what's an Alpha Soul Ring currently going for?
I would compare Alpha Soul Ring and Masterpiece Soul Ring, and I think you're going to come up with comparable prices. I think maybe the Ether Vial, some of the Masterpieces, they are more expensive versions than the original versions, Painter's Servant, that kind of stuff, but they were intended to be. And I think they need to take good stewardship of that and be conscious that they're reprinting things that could be more valuable than the originals, and they need to just print those in much smaller quantity, right? If they're going to go for something that's clearly like this super special, really cool looking thing that people are going to be hunting a lot, whether it be a fetch land or, I don't care, a Tarmogoyf or, Jace or whatever people have invested in the past, Liliana, it goes on and on and on. Then they need to be responsible with reprinting those in sufficient numbers, and they should really be targeting the things that are not necessarily just anything that was old and valuable, but if they're staples, things that prevent people from really being able to play, like, and I'm going to target really more the dual lands, because they're kind of necessary in just about every format and every commander deck and whatnot. There's just very few formats that you can't play them in, and they're needed. They're kind of almost a critical piece. Like, if people were going to start playing, what would it be? What's the one that what's the format that Black Lotus is actually, what, Vintage?
Yeah, Vintage. Or it's actually legal.
Yeah, or restricted. Then if that was a big format and really where all the players are playing, then I would say it would be healthy for them to reprint that, right? I'm not saying they should reprint Black Lotus or the Moxen or the other things that are banned and not really played in Commander, but the staples, the things that are played in Commander that everybody really needs, whether it be a Soul Ring or a dual land, they're so ubiquitous and so necessary for the health of the game. They should be reprinting those in a responsible way, right? I'm not saying they just hand them out with a lollipop at every Walmart as you walk in the door, but you need to take a responsible approach to that. And I think it was responsible with the influx of the fetch lands. I think it was so ubiquitous in so many different formats that it was necessary for the health of the game, and they did it, right? And they did put it, people were complaining, oh, we only dribbled out one or two here in like a master set or something. Okay, so they finally reprinted them in a meaningful way to get them down to this $20, $30 price point. And what do you think is going to happen to the fetch lands? What do you think is going to happen when they cut that tap off, now that they've made them more widely available? And I guarantee you they'll cut that tap off. I don't think they're going to reprint the enemy fetch lands. My guess is at least another 2 to 3 years until it becomes this pressure point again, and more people need them again, and they'll reprint them, right? Because they realize it's necessary. I think the next reprints that you'll see, obviously, are going to be the shock lands in Unfinity, but I think they're doing all 10. I think that's kind of a mistake. They could have, spread that across a couple different products throughout the year. Being one in the Unlimited or the Unfinity, and then they could have reprinted them in either Jumpstart or double, triple whammy backflip masters, whatever it's going to be.
They need to stop reprinting fetch lands.
Why?
They've reprinted 8 in the last 2 years.
Okay, well they need to
eight
reprint
different
they need to
versions
reprint
of
the
Misty Rainforest in the last 2 years.
Well, okay, but they need to but it's necessary. People need them, and they're still a $30 card, you know. And as soon as Double Master, as soon as Modern Horizons 2 goes out of print, you know, those things are going to go back up again. They're going to climb back up towards that 50, 60, 70, and if the longer they go, $100 price range, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely buy them now. They're the lowest probably they've ever been and ever will be.
Oh, I definitely agree. Not financial advice, but now is the time. Now is definitely the dwell. And I'm not just going to say for fetch lands. I don't know how much lower some of these things are going to be. Like if you look, there's a lot of reserve list cards that have really cooled off in the last few months. I think a lot of them are going to continue to cool off, but some of the ones that are absolutely necessary, like the dual lands, are not cooling off.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. Those that are resistant to downward pressures are clearly cards that are necessary in the world of Magic, and those need to be, I'm not saying available to everybody that comes in, but at least obtainable. $300 is out of the price range of most people, and that's the lowest dual land, unless you get one that got run over by the dump truck and eaten by the cat. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
okay. It really is a Savannah. See, I drew it on there in pen. It's like
that's it, I think.
What is this? Oh, is that? I can't tell. Is that a scrub land or a Savannah?
It's one of the two.
Get your monocle out.
So, you know, they need to. It's a game, right? It needs to be playable by as many people as they can get in. I hate to say it. I'm old school. I've been around since '94 playing. You have to bring in new players. People move on to different games. We covered some of this in that revolving door. What did we say? It was like the average lifespan of a Magic player is like 2 years.
Yeah,
is the average interest. So if you're not bringing in new people, not just old people returning, the game will eventually die. You need to keep bringing this money in. Guess what? WotC makes $0.0 on reserve list cards. Right? That's where a lot of money's changing hands, but it's not for WotC, and it's a company that makes a game. It's in business to make a game. When it's not profitable, when people stop buying it, it can become unprofitable very quickly. Those profit margins can dip really, really quick. And if most of the money's going to nothing but reserve list, guess what? Game's not making any money. And unfortunately, because it's in a major corporation that's probably going to want to hold on to the IP to see if they can revive it at some point, they could shelve it for years. Right? And come out with a whole new generation and come out with, you know, Magic the Gathering Alpha Part 2, you know, and just reboot the whole thing. But it might be 20 years from now.
They're having the same problem I think that Magic's having, even though it's a shorter lived game. But like when you're looking at, for instance, the card I mentioned earlier, the Rampart of the Ram's Head. Yeah, Rampart of the Ram's Head. In order to play this card, if you wanted to play this card, you'd have to shell out. Well, right now because it got reprinted in the beginning when the set first came out, so we'll say this is like a new Magic set. It is a legendary card. Legendaries can only typically be pulled 1 to 2 per case of 4 boxes, 24 packs in each box, and it averaged about $300 for you to even just play one of the cards for your deck. Now, I think that's going to run into the same problem. That is, if this keeps happening, the barrier to entry for any new player is just going to be so much higher than it should be. I think Magic is doing that for older cards, for Commander, like dual lands, original dual lands and whatnot. And I think that could they even come out with like a specific Commander legal set where it's only legal in Commander and print a bunch of things from the reserve list that is only legal in Commander? I wonder if that would violate the reserve list policy, because it's not standard legal. It's only legal for Commander, like a Commander set. I wonder if that's a thing they could do.
They need to do something, clearly. And don't kid yourself out there, folks. Commander is Magic. If there was no Commander, oof. It'd be pretty grim out there for Magic at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that is...
I probably wouldn't be playing it, to be quite honest. I'll switch that. I would not be playing Magic if Commander didn't exist. I will almost guarantee you that.
I'm in basically the same boat. I mean, I wouldn't get rid of my cards, but
no,
I wouldn't actively be playing. I wouldn't have the excitement about finding the new cards. I wouldn't, which is why it's bizarre to me that they have way more standard sets than they do Commander, and as far as I'm kind of concerned, Standard is almost really kind of dead. Except
all
for
the LGSs around us, they don't run Standard FNM anymore. It's Commander.
No.
It's Draft or I don't know. I haven't seen a single FNM post. I follow multiples on Facebook of 2 different card shops. I see Flesh and Blood. I see those tournaments going on Friday. I don't see Magic anymore. Actually, pretty cool. I'm glad that Flesh and Blood's taking off.
All I see for Magic is locally is the pre-release tournaments.
I see Modern, I think, but I'd have to double check the Facebook post. I'm pretty sure it's Modern, but it's one of the other
to that point. I mean, what's clearly the ubiquitous buying power out there in the world for Magic the Gathering is clearly for Commander and Commander related products. I mean, that's,
and they allow proxies in the events they run. Yeah. So I don't know if there's a limit, but yeah.
I think that I would like to see them shift more towards like maybe cut another 1 or 2 of the standard sets every year and create more Commander draft. I don't know if that'll be too much. Maybe not. Honestly, I would like to see them cut back as a whole on the amount of products, period. But understand, they are in the business of making money, right? I wonder if they're squeezing, the lemon too hard for the juice, and there would just not be any left. That they get all the money that they're going to get for years out of 1 or 2 years, and then you see this giant vacuum. Because I'm going to tell you, I think that their profit margins and I think all of it's going to drop this year, and we're going to be probably in for a little bumpy ride. Understand they're talking about raising the prices. I mean, I think already the double feature is at that $220 price point. I won't be surprised if the boxes of double whammy, triple flammy masters is going to be $300 a box, $250 to $300 a box. If that's the case, it's not. You only get so much money out of each person. They only have a limited amount of finances to spend. So instead of getting it for their standard sets, people are just going to be saving. And I recommend doing this. I mean, I'm doing it myself. And, I'm not trying to brag, but I make a fairly decent living. So I understand that a lot of people out there aren't in my fortunate position to not buy an unlimited amount of Magic, but buy, a fair bit of what I want. And when you're talking $300 a box, $250 a box, instead of buying 3 draft boosters of, 1 of Kamigawa, 1 of Capenna, 1 of Dominaria United, or whatever the hell it's going to be, you're going to say, well, I want that box of, you really have to assess, I want that, really want the double whammy, triple, quadruple masters product. So I won't buy anything else, and I'll buy that. Right. So, it's very much buy this, not that in this upcoming year. I think, wow, we should come up with a t-shirt for Magic. MTG, buy this, not that.
I think there already is a YouTuber that does buy this, not that. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry for ripping your stuff off. I didn't know.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. I know that.
I was just thinking, it's the whole, diet thing of eat this, not that. It's kind of like we have to do that with Magic in this upcoming year. And I think that they're talking about all the prices. The tide is rising. You've got. They have to increase their prices strictly because you have to pay wages that are much higher than they have been in decades. This price hike, where people are making $15 an hour at Burger King. You can't keep paying these prices, and Watts is going to have to be competitive with their wages. So across the board, prices are going up. Inflation is happening this year. Buckle up for that. So as our public service announcement, Matt and I discussed that we're going to try to broach this subject as tastefully and lightly as we can. Responsible spending this year, guys. Set a budget for yourself. Try to stick to it. I think you're going to see increased prices for 2022. That doesn't mean give up on Magic. It doesn't mean don't buy Magic. But, maybe be a little more responsible with your spending. I say get out of the FOMO hype train that we've seen for the last couple of years, where you're pre-ordering stuff before you even see all of the cards being spoiled. Is this really a set that I want? It'll also be okay not to pre-order it. I have a feeling nothing is selling out before it hits the shelves this year.
Also, stop pre-ordering anything. Stop it. Just stop it. Not financial advice, but personal advice. Just stop pre-ordering things. I've pre-ordered so many things recently that I regret because the price, and I say so many, I learned very quickly. I say it was two things. I bought Flesh and Blood's why am I mind blanking?
Tales of Aria.
Yeah, Tales of Aria first edition. I pre-ordered them for $600 for 2 cases. They immediately plummeted within the first week to $400 a case. And it is so many times, it happens with pre-orders of Magic cards. It happens with basically any collectible that isn't available. Or that is available, I mean. If it's readily available, it's going to plummet in price. The Commander decks, they all drop in price. Everything Magic, Flesh and Blood, to my knowledge, they just plummet. Pokemon had a shortage where their things, if you didn't pre-order, then you got hosed. But the odds of that happening, I mean, I guess research what you're going to pre-order, but I thought for sure, I thought Tales of Aria, I thought it was going to get eaten alive. I'm like, I better pre-order now and seal on the price before it skyrockets. And man, I lost $400.
I have to at least say this. The only time that I saw a variance to that, because I absolutely echo and support what Matt's saying, was, and I have to acknowledge this, Time Spiral Remastered. Yes, I was able to pre-order some boxes at $179. But for all of the other products, and understand, Time Spiral Remastered was an anomaly, right? That's not the standard fare. If you look at all the other sets, yeah, they come out and they follow that pattern of they come out and within 3 months they drop. You can, if you are a judicious shopper out there, I saw it was either Midnight Hunt or Crimson. I think it was Midnight Hunt. Draft boxes for $76 a box. I saw the offer today. This is a good time of the year to buy. By the way, people are trying to liquidate their stocks. Not financial advice, but they're trying to get rid of stuff so that they can get better numbers on the books by the end of the year. Stores are trying to make a living too. But for you, the player, the collector, the investor, if you're an investor, you're probably not listening to our advice anyways. But for the player, for a healthy player, don't get caught up in the FOMO. And it's okay to miss out on stuff, right? It won't be the end of your Magic world if you don't get boxes of this or that. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's the quadruple flippy Masters that's coming out next year. Don't put yourself in a position where the game becomes unfun because you're just stressed out about the money you dropped on it and lost on it. I hope that this year we start returning to it more of a game than an investment vehicle, right? You got stock markets and crypto and all that other stuff if you want to invest money or real estate. Magic is a game. Keep it fun.
Yeah.
Spend responsibly to keep it fun. I too many times seeing in Discords and private chats and people hurting for money that are still buying Magic, and I'm like, that's pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah, a lot of the investments that you're going to make in Magic are long-term investments. They're not going to. I mean, I just spent $600 on Commander Legends case, and I'm not going to see a return on that for at least a year or two. And even then, I'll probably still hold it because it's just going to keep going up, most likely. And realistically, most of them think of them like long-term investments, 2, 3 to 5, 10 years before you actually will, I mean, I guess if you're willing to double your money, it's probably 2 to 3 years, maybe a little bit less depending. But even still, people that are expecting a quick return, if you're putting it on credit cards, if you're putting it on borrowing from friends or whatever, family, that's not good. Don't do that. Unless you plan to pay off the credit card before you hit your interest, whatever, it's just not going to be good.
And Matt and I haven't discussed this beforehand, but I'm going to bet that Matt will echo my sentiment here. I have, but just for all transparency, I think I have 3 cases of Commander Legends sitting on ice on my shelf, and I'm perfectly okay with those never appreciating, with those never going up in value. I have them at the price that I bought them. I don't think they'll depreciate, but even if they do, I'm fine with that because I have a game I can crack out a box years from now and say, hey, Matt, how you feel about sitting down and we'll draft another round of Commander Legends. And I'm fine with absorbing that loss or paying the prices that I paid for these cards. They're within my budget without hurting anything. And I'm okay with them going to zero, right? because it's the experience of the draft. And I would buy products that way, that you look at it and you go, if I spend this now, am I okay with that going to zero? That something happens in the economy, that nobody cares about cardboard, and all investments in Magic and Flesh and Blood or whatever go to zero. If you're not okay with that, then I would say don't buy it.
I mean, I'm not okay with it. I don't want it to happen. But
no, I don't want it to happen. I'm just saying. But is it going? Let me ask you this: Is it gonna prevent you from retiring? Is it gonna stop you from being able to pay your hospital bill?
I'm just gonna reiterate what you said prior to us recording. If it treated like gambling money, if it's money that you can like literally like flush down the toilet, and you're like, I can still eat tomorrow, I can still pay my bills tomorrow, then that's the same kind of money that you should be spending on Magic, not financial advice.
Right.
I also wouldn't advise
the
flushing
intent
money.
for us, just to be clear, the intent for us saying this is to try to make it a healthy and fun game for everybody out there. That's just our advice. Take it for what it's worth. But our intent is to say this is a way that we feel that we're keeping it healthy and fun and safe for us to play it in this way. And hopefully we'll all be on this journey, and we're going to update you in more videos. And we're going to look at the spoilers, and we're going to look at the sets. I think that's sort of the biggest shift for me this year. I don't know about you, Matt, but my personal change is going to be really kind of a pumping of the brakes to see the product come out, to wait for it to be out for a little bit, to see where the prices are drifting. Does it just like jump right off of a cliff when it comes out, or is it maintaining? Is it starting to go up? And I'm going to be okay if I don't get in on it. If it comes out at $100 a box, and I buy it in 2 months after that, and it went up to 120 because that's when I'm going to buy it, so be it. I'll lose that $20 a box, rather than buying 5 boxes at $100 and it drops down to 79 and stays there for a year after the product comes out, and all I've done is lost $60 on it. I think you're probably going to see that more often in the future, in the next coming years, until they really start scaling back on the amount of product that they're delivering out there. There's so much buyer confusion. Do I buy the draft box, set box, theme booster, commander decks, secret layers? Oh my goodness, there's so much out there. I don't know what to buy. And even Matt and I are split. He likes set boxes. I can't stand them. I like draft boxes. I don't think either one of us says buy the collector box. Like, that's where all the flashy stuff.
I've still never even opened a single collector's package. It's not a single pack, which it's kind of weird because I love foils and I love special things. So I'm surprised.
Here's the thing: if you get hosed, and I mean hosed, on a draft box, what does the average draft box usually cost you for the average person?
Probably 80 to 100.
We'll say $100, right? Did you say that's a good price point?
Yeah, if you go to like your LGS and pay tax and whatnot.
How bad is a dog box of draft? Like, what is your real value going to walk away from a dog box?
$40,
$70.
$50. Oh, I think way less.
Oh, I don't think you'll get out for 40.
I just opened a set booster of Midnight Hunt, and it was the lowest I've ever seen, and that was with a good list card. It was horrible. I don't know if I just got like the worst box ever, but literally $50 was the max of a set booster box. Okay. I think that you could get some really bad boxes potentially.
Now let's overlay this on top of a collector box, right? What's the average price of a collector box?
I don't even know. I've never bought one. What, $200?
$200 is the general price point when they come out.
Oh yeah, because AFR was like $170, and that's dirt cheap.
No, they're $170 now, but when they came out,
that's what I mean. I mean, like right what you can buy right now, AFR for some reason is. I might buy one of those. I
think I saw a Crimson Vow collector box at $159.
Oh really? Are they okay?
Yeah. So at any rate, what I'm saying is, so a collector box you can get for $200, but I've seen collector boxes so bad. A friend of mine opened a collector box, and it was Modern Horizons 2, and he only got 1 fetch and 1 mythic. No, it was no fetches and 1 mythic. Wow. 0 fetches, 1 mythic. Right? And that's a $320 box at its cheapest. So I'm going to venture a guess that he had maybe $100 in value from a $320 box. And why am I saying this is because I really believe that when you look at the average box that you're going to open, and let's not talk about Modern Horizons 2 because we've seen so many disparities where people are open $500-$600, but the average collector box that you're going to get out there for any other set, I would say you stand to lose a lot more. That your risk factor is much greater, and you'd be better served getting the 1 or 2 cards you really want to get in that full art special dandy foil with the kiss, lipstick on the back of it, whatever card you want to get, and just buy the single of it. Listen to the professor, buy the singles, and you'll be much happier at the end of the day. It doesn't feel bad buying the single you really want to get at $70 as opposed to dropping $200, not getting the one you want, and you lost, 50% of your value and only got $100 out of the box, and you still don't have that special lipstick foil that you wanted to get. That it's just bad.
Yeah, I don't know if other people share my sentiment, but I've either been wired this way or I've chosen to believe it this way. But I do feel bad spending $100+ on it. Like I will never, I haven't to this day yet, have spent over $100 for a single card. I don't know. There's something about my brain that I'm just like, that card is not worth $100 to me. But if I pull it in a box, I'll use it. So it's kind of like I'd rather buy the box to open it than buy just one singular card, because at least I get a bunch of things as opposed to getting one item versus a bunch of trash.
Yeah, but
typically,
you get a whole bunch of low stuff.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's not good. That's the thing. I've been wired wrong. I don't know if other people feel the same way.
I feel a kinship towards all people that play Magic, so it kind of hurts me to see when people are struggling because of it. So
yeah.
And so many of the other like shows that I watch, they never really talk about like kind of the dark side of it. Rudy does once in a while, and he'll even bring up letters of like a dude who bought $10,000 worth of some box that just tanked, and it's on a credit card, and he's gonna have a hard time paying his mortgage, and now he can only unload the product for $7,000. Going to be $3,000 upside down and paying interest on it. And so something he was looking to for help, it really crushed him. And so what do you think his opinion of Magic's going to be whenever he looks at a Magic card? It's very much going to ruin.
Horrible. Yeah.
Right. You look at it, you just want to throw lighter fluid on every Magic card and set it on fire because it burned you. And I hate to see that with the game, because I love the game, and I love the community. I love having something that's fun to play. It's kind of rare in life to have that kind of kinship with people. So I like having that, and I'd like to see it be healthy for everybody.
Oh man, I didn't see the dual land art yet for Unfinity. Holy, these look great.
You talking about the shops?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna buy more than I anticipated. These look really good. I might just buy the singles in this case. We'll see how cheap they go. We'll see. Are you
talking about the Space Shocks, or are you talking about the basic lands? There's two different versions of the basics.
Lands. Yeah, I didn't know there was two different. The only ones I've seen so far were the first 5. I didn't see that there was like planet versions, because I saw like the.
Okay, but which one? Right, so here we go. Buy this, not that. Would you rather have those or the Kamigawa Japanese basics?
These Infinity.
And a lot of people are hating it because of the space theme, and I've seen a lot of old man get off my lawn. We don't want space themes in our Magic together. And I'm like, what? I'll put them all in there. I don't care. Rainbow ponies. I don't care.
Yeah, if it looks cool, I'll buy it. Dynasty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd rather have the. How do they not have the lands yet? They're spoiled. Hello.
Oh, yeah, they're on spoilers. They're on MagicSpoiler.com. Is that where you're at, or are you on Mythic Spoiler?
I was on the Wizard's actual website.
No, go to MagicSpoiler.com. I know they have them. Or they did.
Okay. Yeah, I'd rather... Well, okay, so here's the thing. I don't like the plains. I don't like the forest of Neo Dynasty. I don't like...
There's two of each, by the way.
Okay, well, I don't like the first plains that I see and the first... forest that I see? Are those both plains? Those are both plains. I don't like the plains at all. I don't really care for the islands. The swamps look great. The mountains look okay. And the forests look okay. But if I look at the Infinity lands, all of them are good.
And it's going to be subjective.
Yeah, of course.
I realize that's going to be. I love them all too. But I was thinking, when it comes to these basics, they're making so many killer basics. Like you only need but so many in your decks, right?
My Atraxa deck plays 0.
What's that?
My Atraxa deck doesn't play a single basic land.
But do you see what I'm saying? There's only going to be so many basic. Like I love the Theros Beyond Death, Pokemon lands, the Nyx lands. I think those are absolutely amazing. The full art ones.
Oh, yeah. Those are good too.
I love the showcase M21 lands.
That mountain looks crisp of Infinity. I like it.
The actually, I like to an extent. I like the lands from Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt.
Oh yeah, those are great too. I love those. I need to open this Crimson Vow box now.
Really have an affinity for the Bob Ross basic lands. Really, it just appeals to me, and I get it. It's
yeah.
I don't like the pixel art basic lands. I don't like the full text basic lands, but some people absolutely love them, and that's fine. The problem is they're coming out with so many super special basic lands. It's like I'm really beginning to go, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. And actually, because Commander decks are so cumbersome, I'm really beginning to see the wisdom in going with white bordered lands because they're easier to fetch out.
I do that for my dual lands. I agree with that. In my Atraxa deck, when I'm doing a fetch or no, not the Atraxa deck, the other Commander deck that I run, the Averna deck. When I'm doing fetches, I'm going for those lands, and I can just real quick just go boom. They're the only white borders in the deck. I know exactly how to get to them. I'll agree with that for sure.
So again, it's. I wonder if they're like sort of shaking their moneymaker a little too hard on these basic lands.
The swamp from Neo Dynasty.
See, and we're hyping things here ourselves, and this is good.
Basic lands, who cares?
I love it. I do. I love the game. I think that they're going in a positive direction on a lot of things. I would like to see them kind of fine tune it some more. I would really like to see them sort of scale it back on the secret layers. And with the tacos, I think they really need to start focusing some more of their energy on fixing some of the problems that they have, versus just cranking out the next product and the next product and the next product. I think everybody would love to see them fix the foiling issue. Like hire some people, Watsy. Get some super scientists. Go talk to freaking Neil deGrasse Tyson and ask him to get it fixed.
Talk to whoever Flesh and Blood does their foils don't crinkle. The Flesh and Blood foils, I don't think I have a single one that's crinkled. How come their foils can do it?
The foil etched Magic cards don't pringle.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, if we can travel to the next planet, we can flatten a damn foil. Yeah. Hire some people, get it figured out, Watsy. I don't need to have.
They're not like no startup company. They're a big ass company.
I don't need 8 versions of Sorin. I want flat foils. Take some of your, resources, and address some of your other problems. Make more support for things out there. Have a commander circuit. Support your LGSs a little more. Get more hype locally and in person with the games. Stop focusing so much on big box stores. I understand that this is all bottom line stuff, but you need a healthy fan base. Pay attention to that.
There's only 4 different versions of him. Wait, hold on, is there?
What's that?
I guess there is 8 different versions, huh?
Well, when you also include the foil, non-foil of each.
Yeah, there's some full art cards that I don't know where the hell they're from. Oh, the art series from the set boxes. Okay, those don't count.
Well, okay, I'm not sure why they don't count. It's the same card.
Well, no, these are the art cards. They come in the set boosters. They're not the actual card.
Okay, but if you count the foil, non-foil version of each card, that's still a different version of the card.
Oh, yeah, there's the promo one, the normal, I guess the double feature. Then there's going to be the Count Dracula version, the showcase version, the borderless version, and then the normal version. there's what,
5 versions,
yeah,
and then
6
a foil and non-foil of each.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 10 different Sorins from the same set. Okay, how about we tone that down just a touch, and we start fixing some of the problems with the cards. I've heard boxes that had like 35 of the same common in a box, like that's clearly a problem. I know they didn't mean for that to happen. These god boxes, if that's even a thing that's supposed to happen, or so many issues that we could point to where you could devote your efforts and get, maximize the juice for the squeeze. That you know what? It's possible that we have this symbiotic relationship that we get what we want and give you more money, which is what you want from us. I think that there's a definite middle ground. Instead of the problems that we're facing, I think that they could definitely focus their efforts a little better. But I'm not a WotC executive or a Hasbro executive. I'm not going to pretend to say that I know everything. I'm just saying what I feel as a Magic player and content creator. I would like to see some of that get fixed. I know I would like to see them pump the brakes a little more. Stuff comes out so fast and furious anymore. I barely have a chance. I don't know half the cards that came out this year because, well,
yeah,
it came out so fast. I'm like, what? I never played that card. I never saw that card. Back in the day, you used to know every card that came out of a set. Now,
oh yeah, spoiler days, I would read every single card, and at this point, I'm just kind of like, I'll read them whenever a friend plays it, or if I see one, or if somebody mentions it.
You're not collecting sets anymore. I mean, it's impossible to keep up, and that makes you've kind of exhausted us. If this was a marathon, half of us have dropped out of the race because we're just we can't keep up. You look very confused.
I'm just reading some of these Infinity cards, and I'm just kind of like, I'm not excited for the cards at all, to be quite honest. They're very goofy and weird, and I've never been in any of the Infinity or Unsets, so I only care about the lands right now.
I love Infinity. I mean, in its own little bubble.
It'll be funner when I play it. When I'm reading the cards, I'm just kind of... I get it's supposed to be weird and funky.
It is supposed to be weird and funky, and when you start piecing them together, I think it's going to put a smile on your face.
Yeah, we'll see.
I hope it doesn't get like, obviously they're going to have to be not as goofy as previous iterations of Unsets, because there's going to be tournament legal cards in there that have to do something tournament legal fun. You're not going to have them, stand up and talk with their butt or something. It's pull the Jim Carrey Ace Ventura talking with their butt. It's not going to be a mechanic on the card, or you have to play. You can only. You can only play when your video doesn't stop, or stick your finger in your ear when you play all your land cards, or destroy them. It's. They're obviously going to have to put more functional things in it if they're going to be tournament legal cards. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but I think it's going to be a nice balance. I think it's going to be a very interesting set. I think there can be sticker cards on there. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, we can like pull off like a lottery type thing.
Well,
like
from what I understand, it's going to be like a one-time use thing, and you want to talk about cards that may end up becoming very valuable. That
ones that
are getting a purple Lotus that didn't have its sticker peeled.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, that could be juice.
So Saw in Half is already a really good card, like a legal actual card. Saw in Half is nuts.
Oh yeah, that can actually break some stuff.
The card is insane. It blows my mind that it's 3 mana and instant speed.
Like break Kiki Jiki right away.
Any creature that has entered the battlefield just gets giga value.
Yeah,
that card's going to be insane.
So, I mean, how would that play out with like Scoot Swarm that had its 50th copy played?
Right.
I mean, okay, instead of 500 Scoot Swarms, you now have 1,000 Scoot Swarms. It's just like, okay. Yeah, it could be just busted as heck. Anyways, I hope that everybody, I'm about ready to wrap it up here. It's been a very, very long stream.
Yeah.
Stream. It's not a stream.
Video.
It's been a very long video. I hope that everybody has a wonderful holiday season. I hope that 2021 you found some solace in gaming
whatever form that was, and that you're looking forward to 2022, and that you have a happy, healthy holiday season and new year, and hope to see all of you again very, very soon.
Yeah, thanks for spending your time with us. This is going to be obviously probably broken out in multiple videos, but hope everybody has a happy holiday, Merry Christmas. Enjoy your loved ones, cherish them, and we cherish you spending your time with us. Thank you.